Hi. Welcome to the Human Design for Marketing podcast. I'm your host, Yvette Mayer, and this show's for you if you're done with cookie cutter marketing and ready to build your personal brand in alignment with who you really are. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to the Human Design for Marketing podcast with your host, Yvette Mayer. Hi, that is me, and I am thrilled to be back in your ears with a juicy episode, which headline is all about you getting paid to do the work you love. As I record this, we are moving through gate 14 in the solar transit. And this is a gate that has so much wisdom inside of it. It's also a gate that I have spent a lot of time contemplating because I happen to have it in my design Mars, which in the gene keys is an extremely important position. So I'm going to talk a bit about that as we move through this. But to start with, it does not matter whether or not you have the 14 somewhere in your body graph, because the insight in this gate and the opportunity for you, I believe, is unanimous. And of course, because we're moving through this in the transits right now, this energy is around you. But it goes deeper than that, I think, because, look, I'm going to say this about all gates. There is so much personal development and reflection to be had in every single gate when you really get into the low and the high frequency. I love working with the gene keys for this because all the gates are in all of us. It's just whether they were activated at our time of birth, how consistent they are, right? So there's lessons in every gate. I want you to really understand that. There's not only lessons in the defined gates that you have. And in fact, you have to learn more about the things that aren't consistent for you in a lot of ways. So important. So the lessons of gate 14. Well, this gate is known in human design, the traditional human design, as the gate of power skills, which I think is only just dipping your toe into the frequency of this one. Because if you look at the I Ching and the gene keys, it's a lot richer around what this true energetic frequency is about, which is more around abundance and bounteousness. So the name of the I Ching gate is the gate of affluence, well, the I Ching of affluence. And in the gene keys, it is, well, the low frequency is compromise. The high frequency is competency. And the acidic state is bounteousness. All of this adds up to this being what is considered to be one of the money gates, that it has an energy of monetization around it. But as with all things in this system, it comes from a very beautiful place, which is that this genuine truth, and I do believe this is truth, that when you really find your unique brilliance in the work that you do and you put your entire beingness into that, that you will become more abundant. It's like this is how we get paid to do what we love when we're really working with this. But our very humanness is our biggest block. Oh gosh, I did a whole post on this, I think, on social media and in my email last week, that it's not the external that blocks us from having the abundance of success that we desire and being paid for doing what we love. It's our internal system and particularly our unconscious blocks, and our beliefs that we develop so young in life that we're not always that aware of until we've done a lot of personal development work, which I know this community has done. And still, there is so much more to learn when you are on this incredible path of working with your design and learning through the human design and sister modalities to get to know yourself better, and particularly go into those places where maybe you haven't had awareness. They are sitting in a less conscious part of your system, and be able to bring that into your awareness for not just your own benefit, but for the benefit of those around us. Because I think we can all agree that we get into business, we become entrepreneurs because we want to do work that we love to do, that is fulfilling, that has a positive impact on others, and to have a sense of freedom to live our life the way we want to live it, which means it requires us to be paid for doing that work. Okay, so that's the framework for the 14. And my reasoning for bringing it through to you today is because I want you to spend some time thinking about this in your own world and how you see this working for you and also blocking you at times. So I am going to go a bit deeper in through the gene keys to get into my experience with the gate 14. And I think in telling this story, you're going to see a lot of yourself. So when I first started studying, learning from the gene keys, I started, there's 3 different sequences in the gene keys, which are all worth you going through. I started with the prosperity sequence, which I have heard a lot of people do, even though it's kind of the 3rd one, because it's like, okay, well, how can I learn about how I'm designed to be prosperous through this? And we're in a hurry, right? We want to hurry up and have the money so we can have the freedom and live life the way we want to live it. So I started there. And this is when I discovered that there's a key spot in our design, in our body graph, that represents our vocation. So what we're actually here to do for work, or the energy we're here to do this work in, to set us up to be paid abundantly. And it also, in particular, holds our core wound. So the biggest thing that we internally are going to experience as a block, and it is an unconscious block because it's sitting on the design side of your body graph. So quick note in case you're newer to human design, the gates that are activated that you see on the right-hand side of your body graph these are your conscious gates, okay? So these are the ones that you're like, yes, I feel that, I see that, that is so true for me. But the deeper, less conscious programming that we run is on the other side. It's on the design side. So our core wound around prosperity is sitting on our design side, and it is in your design Mars. So go and check this out if you don't know what's sitting there, so you know what that looks like for you. And later, after listening to this episode, go and contemplate this if you haven't done this work before. So for me, I have the 14, and therefore, like, one of the things that I did to start to really integrate this knowledge is I listened to this gene key. I was actually driving between where I live on the south coast of New South Wales, which is about 2 and a bit hours south of Sydney. I was driving between the south coast and Sydney, which I do a lot because my family are all in Sydney. And like, it was such a profound moment listening to this core wound because I saw myself so deeply in this block. So I shared this already, but what is called my greatest core wound, or my biggest block, is also known as the shadow of this gate, which is compromise. Now, that word alone, I think we can all identify with. But the more I listen to Richard explain how this shows up, I could just identify with it so powerfully. But you may identify with what I've got to say anyway, even if you don't have the 14. So how this shows up, compromising yourself, shows up when you people please, when you say yes to things that are a hard no, because you want to be liked or you want to be loved. It shows up when you don't put boundaries in place that protect you from getting out of alignment. And again, you generally do that because you want to be loved or liked. And then probably the one that I was like, ooh, I wasn't so aware of the most was in more of the self-sabotage around not holding yourself to your own high standards. Okay. So this is an area that I have to do a lot of work on, where the thing that I know is best for me and for my highest good and highest potential is often harder, and it's uncomfortable, and it doesn't satisfy my need for instant gratification. This can show up in all sorts of ways, but it compromises my frequency and my ability to do the work that I love in the frequency I need to be in to have the abundance, right? So this can look like, and I'm afraid to say this shows up to this day, even though I've done so much work on this. This can look like I know that I'm doing a long drive and that I have to get up early, and for me to be safe and wide awake on the road, the most important thing for me is to get a high quality sleep. And then compromise myself or sabotage myself by eating chocolate late at night or watching Netflix until well past the hour that I have committed to myself that I will go to bed, right? So this is eroding my personal frequency and my ability to show up and be my best self. So I've given you an example based on driving, but you can see how this would affect my work as well, because when I'm overtired, I'm not thinking as logically, I am not expressing myself as clearly, I'm not able to jump onto a podcast and be my most magnetic self and share in a way that's so eloquent that you get it and it's super sharp, especially with all my open space. So I am sabotaging myself with these behaviors. This all lives in the low frequency of gate 14. And I think it lives, some of what I've said, no matter what your chart looks like, you will identify with this as a business owner, whether it's the people pleasing or the boundaries or the self-sabotage or a number of ways compromising yourself shows up. This is the stuff, the behavioral components of you that is actually preventing you from doing what is for your highest good and also for the benefit of others, which is being in your most competent place, competency. You will be far more competent at showing up and doing the work you love and attracting abundance when you are not compromising yourself, right? This is the energy that we're in right now. So you may have experienced this week. You may have felt yourself in this low frequency. You may have acted out of alignment with the way that is most supportive for you to express yourself, expand yourself, and monetize your magic. Whereas in the high frequency, you are leading yourself, you are trusting in your competency in the work that you're doing, and you're far more magnetic and able to attract opportunities, clients, people wanting to collaborate with you, whatever that looks like that's important for your growth. When you're being self-led, you're not compromising yourself, and you are in a place of your highest competency, then the floodgates are open for you. This is what we want for you. This is such important work. Now, another reason I wanted to bring this to you this week is, and I sent an email, if you're on my email list, you probably have received this week, that we are in a run of gates that are very supportive for selling. Or they're very powerful. They're very personally powerful. So the 14 that we're in right now is an abundant energy. It is when you are not compromising yourself and doing the work you love and showing up for yourself that you are going to attract the success that you desire. And that's going to show up materially for you. Then we move into the 34. Now, this gate is it is the gate of power, but it's really about this power over force. So it's not about chasing and trying, it's about personal power. It is about trusting in your brilliance. And you can see again how this is a very magnetic energy, or a very attractive energy to potential clients, existing clients that may want to take on more or longer contracts with you, whatever that looks like in your business. It's when you're in your most high frequency, when you're at your most powerful and you're feeling that level of competency and confidence, that you will be more attractive. Okay, so this is the energy we're moving into in a couple of days. Right now, we're in line, as I record this, we're in line 5. So I'm showing some leadership in my gate 14 by recording this. So in 2 days, it's probably tomorrow for you if you're listening to this when I release it, we will be in the 34. Okay, so this is another energy to contemplate around the frequency for you to hold yourself in to make more sales. And then as we move into Black Friday, which is a week from when you're listening to this or thereabouts, it's the last Friday in November, we come into gate 9. So this is slightly different, but it still has really important insight around being in an abundant energy for selling, because it's the gate of small details. It's really about the correct and intentional information or focus to create the magic in your world. So this pertains to selling and marketing in terms of, so the way that you position yourself during this frequency is to give the right details, to get your clients, potential clients, your audience, to put their attention on exactly the right information for them to make decisions that go in your favor, right? So I wanted to bring this to you both to really explore gate 14, but to also highlight to you that we are in amazing energy for you to make money right now. But for some of you, you're going to be listening to this and you're going to be in compromise. You are going to be telling yourself that for any number of reasons, you're not going to participate in buying or selling during Black Friday, or one or the other, because let's get into all your shadows, right? Let's get into maybe you don't want to be disappointed if it doesn't work. Self-sabotage. Maybe you feel from an ego perspective, it's going to devalue your work when actually that's stopping you from helping more people. Self-sabotage. Let's get into, you don't want to drop the price of certain things because you've sold them to existing clients at higher price points and they might get upset with you. People pleasing. Okay. So if you're listening to this and you're unsure, or you've been thinking this isn't for me, it's out of alignment. We can hide behind alignment when it's masking blocks. True story. And I wanted to invite you to really explore this in yourself. And it's totally fine if you do this exploration and you're like, no, I'm clean, my energy is in alignment, there's a XYZ strategic or otherwise reason why this is not for me. All good. However, from where I sit and appreciating my own design and my understanding of the energies we're in and what I'm here to do, which is actually to help you become more abundant in your business by aligning with your design and expanding your frequency so that you have more success, make a bigger impact. It's about positively contributing in the world, but also you are personally rewarded for that. That is what I'm here for. That is what I'm here for. So for me to be of service to you, I thought this was such an amazingly potent conversation to have with you, to get you really deep into considering like what is going on that is stopping you from being visible, from showing up and making offers, and how is that compromising, preventing you from doing the work you love and getting really paid well for it. Okay. Now, before I go, as I prepped for this episode, I read my blog post on the Gate 14. I love going back over things like this and just to refresh all of the own kind of stories that I've told myself and the journeys I've been on. And I told this story, which I'm going to repeat now. So back in my mid-20s, early 20s, I was in a long-term relationship. I'd been in this relationship for 4 years, and it was actually the most committed relationship of my entire life. And I'm in my 50s, so this is saying a lot, right? I was madly in love, and it was a very mutual, strong connection, almost obsessive on both sides. And I thought that this was the person that I was going to marry. I really did. Whew. And I, at the same time, had stepped onto the career level in my marketing work. I was working in an advertising agency, a really cool advertising agency, actually. And I was flying. Like, even though I was in my early 20s, I had already been made what was called back then a group head. So I had a team and I was the lead contact for my clients in the area that was my specialty, which was planning and buying advertising and working with the data to make sure we were getting maximum return on investment. Yes, I kind of do the same thing now. So um, things were amazing. I thought that I was like set for life, like had the career, had the boyfriend that was probably going to be the guy that I married, family, all loved him, everything. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I went off to see a clairvoyant, expecting that I'd find out like when I was going to get proposed to, that sort of thing. And off I go, and she looks at me, after kind of telling me some things that were so accurate, like, oh, your boyfriend's from a country town, he has curly hair. I'm like, what is this witchcraft? Um, and then she said, I know you think that you're happy and that your life's on a really good path, but actually, you are in a very unhealthy relationship. And in fact, you are being unconsciously controlled in this relationship. And my first reaction was, that is so not true. But I'll never forget this. I kind of left there and went and sat in my car out the front, and I just started crying because it was true. It was absolutely true. So what I'd been doing is being the version of me that he would most love, not being true to myself. Uh, and yes, I was making my way successfully in my career, but at a cost to my health, overworking, overdoing, people pleasing, all of that stuff. And in particular, in my relationship, I was living this very introverted version of me. Uh, this yes, I will follow your rules. Oh, and he had some serious rules for me, things that I wasn't to do, or he would break up with me. I was young, but basically I was completely compromising myself to be loved. And it took that moment of awakening for me to do the personal, internal kind of contemplation to realize that, in fact, I wasn't self-expressed. I wasn't the true me. I was living this small life to please others and not pleasing myself in the process. It still took another year for me to actually leave the relationship because I so desperately wanted that all to be not true and to find a way where through communication we were able to heal that. And we did try, and I had to open up and tell him everything, and I tried so hard to grow and heal through that. But at the end of the day, I couldn't, and I had to leave that relationship. And the human that I became in that process was so very different, and did actually go on to greater and greater heights and making different decisions. Like I left my career for a couple of years and went traveling and explored things with a sense of freedom and adventure, which is far more me. And, you would know this if you're in my world. It's much more who I am today. So I hope this has helped you in some small way. I love to tell a bit of a story because we can all see ourselves in each other's stories. And I trust that you've got something valuable from this episode. Jump into my Instagram DM anytime if you've got questions, if you've got thoughts, if you're like, damn girl, I saw myself in that one. If you're resisting Black Friday and I have made you see things differently, love to hear about that as well. In my world, Black Friday is a happening thing. I've just been making offers right now to my current group coaching client programs. Blech. Stuffed that up, didn't I? You heard what I had to say. I'm going to my current clients who are in my group programs with offers for private upgrades. Next step is to share some very rare and exclusive private coaching options with a list of 20 of you who have hand raised that you're interested in seeing these before I go public. So I am going to be sending out messages today to those of you on that list. And then pending how that goes, they may go public next week, but there'll also be some incredible ways to buy some of my products at never seen before prices or bundles. So stay tuned, keep your ear to the ground when it comes to what's coming through from me, because there is going to be some amazing opportunities to grow your understanding and experimentation with human design and how you market your business so you can attract clients with more ease. And thanks again for listening. I'll be back in your ears sometime real soon. Bye for now. There are heaps more resources in the show notes. I can't wait to be back in your ears again soon. Bye for now.